What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Nasher. Welcome back to the channel. Now, before we get started with this week's episode of WWE's Biggest Issue, just want to give you guys a heads up that we are now 217 subs away from hitting 500 subs. And I have said this before, and I will say it again. If you guys are new to the channel, and I know that a lot of you guys are, because practically 100% of you guys are watching the content, but you guys are not even subscribed. And to top it all off, we gotta get more women to watch the content as well. So if you guys are watching the content, you like the content, and you want more of the content, but you guys have not subscribed as of yet, then make sure you guys do indeed subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, smash that thumbs up button on this video, and as always, as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And I want you guys to post in the comments below answering the question of the day, which in a way, it kind of ties with this week's episode, but the question of the day is this. What are you guys' thoughts on Giulia being the new NXT Women's Champion? Let me know down in the comments below. And for this week's episode, that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today, is actually her potential first challenger for the NXT Women's title. Now, it's interesting because Giulia, everyone knows that Giulia is arguably one of if not the biggest star on the entire NXT roster, and you have a lot of talent that would be more than happy to take the challenge of facing Giulia for the NXT Women's title. I mean, you've got a lot of them. You've got women like Adriana Rizzo, Ariana Grace, Brynlee Reese, Carly Bright, Cora Jade, Danny Palmer, who we hadn't seen much of, obviously due to her injury. You've got Fallon Henley, Gigi Dolan, who prior to this comeback, we didn't see much of her in like well over a year. There's also Izzy Dame, JC Jane, Jada Parker, Jakara Jackson, Jasmine Nix, Carmen Petrovich, Kalani Jordan, Kendall Gray, Lash Legend, Lola Vice. I would say Meiko Satomura, but I think she's supposed to be retiring later this year, which I think I talked about that in a previous video. So definitely check out that video if you haven't already. But there's also her, Nikita Lyons. There's Sol Ruka. There's Stephanie Vaquer. I would say Stevie Turner, but now she's more of an assistant to Ava rather than a competitor. But still, Tatum Paxley, Thea Hale, Wendy Chu, Ren Sinclair, and of course Zarya, who's become a force to be reckoned with in NXT. But you've got a lot of talent. You've got a plethora of talent, not on in NXT. But think about this. Now that WWE signed a multi-year deal with TNA, allowing TNA stars to go to NXT, and for NXT stars to go over to TNA, you have a lot of talent on TNA. There's Alicia Edwards, Ash by Elegance, there's Danny Luna, Gail Kim. I think Gail Kim has become more of a manager from what I've been hearing, but still there's her. There's Heather by Elegance. There's Havoc, Jody Threat, Jordan Grace, who actually her contract with TNA is actually going to be coming up in a few weeks, so that'll be interesting. Killer Kelly, Killing King, I think is her name. Lei Ying Lee, or Xia Li, if you guys remember her. There's the TNA Knockouts champion, Masha Slamovich. Moving down the line, there's Rosemary, Savannah Evans, there's Steph DeLander, or Persia Parada, if you guys remember that name. Tessa Blanchard, who's been wreaking havoc on in TNA from what I've been hearing. There's Tasha Steelz, and also Zaya Brookside, who we hadn't seen her in WWE since her departure due to the pandemic, which is a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. But I think Zaya Brookside coming back to WWE full time would be pretty cool, but we'll have to wait and see. But it now comes down to this: like, who exactly could be the first to step up? Normally, I would say that it's the previous champion that's owed a rematch. Now, while it is true that yes, I do believe that for Roxanne Perez, I actually believe that with her having to deal with Bayley, excuse me, with her having to deal with Bayley, I'm actually under the impression that maybe she's already gonna be getting called up to the main roster at some point, which is very possible, considering that she's had a couple of matches on the main roster already. Obviously being a part of the 6-woman tag that featured the original members of Damage Control, which was obviously Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky against, I think, Zelina Vega, Shotzi, and of course Roxanne herself. Then of course she had competed in two Royal Rumble matches, which is awesome. And then the last time we saw her on the main roster prior to this past Friday was actually earlier this year on the Raw after WrestleMania, where she had a match with Indy Hartwell, who definitely I feel like should have been released from her contract, but it is what it is. I know that there's been a lot of rumors that she could be coming back at some point, but who knows? But but as far as this goes, I think again with her Roxanne having to deal with Bayley, I'm under the impression that maybe she's gonna get called up to the main roster, possibly before or after the Royal Rumble. So it now comes down to this: like, who exactly is gonna be the one to step up to the challenge of facing Giulia for the NXT Women's title? Well, obviously we found out, according to what I have seen on social media from TNA Genesis last night, it appears that Cora Jade will be challenging Masha Slamovich for the TNA Knockouts title at some point, which it could happen on TNA, but it could also happen on NXT as well, which is very, very possible, but only time will tell. But as far as Giulia goes, again, you have a plethora of talent, not just in NXT, but also in TNA as well. And if I had to choose 4 superstars, right, 4 wrestlers, 2 from each side, on the side of NXT, right, I would say Thea Hale, and if I had to choose one more, as crazy as it sounds, I think it would. I think it has to be Zarya. As far as TNA goes, hang on, guys. Okay, there we go. Sorry guys, I accidentally removed the link. Anyway, so again, Thea Hale and Zarya on the side of NXT, and on the side of TNA, I would have to say, as crazy as it may seem, Jordynne Grace and Tasha Steelz. Now, for Tasha Steelz, think about this. The reason why I chose her, it's mostly because of the fact that she took Mickie James to the absolute limit from Mickie's time in TNA, and interestingly enough, Mickie's contract with TNA expired within the last couple of years, and we've seen and apparently there's been a lot of rumors that she's been backstage, not only on SmackDown but also on NXT as well. So it's a testament to what that says about Mickie and her passion for the business. And given the fact that Tasha Steelz had defeated Mickie James multiple times over the last several years, at least from what I've seen on social media, I think honestly she would be a perfect first challenger for Giulia, which would be really cool. And then as far as Jordynne Grace goes, I mean, she's had opportunities at the NXT Women's title, dating back to last year at Battleground, inside the Apex in Vegas. She literally took Roxanne Perez to the absolute limit that night in Vegas, and I think her facing off against Giulia would be very interesting, as would Giulia and Steelz. That would be a cool matchup. Now, as far as Thea Hale goes, don't get me twisted. Obviously, yes, she's had multiple opportunities at the NXT Women's title over the years. Obviously, facing off against Tiffany Stratton and Roxanne Perez. It's more the fact that people believe that she's not ready. I don't think that's the case. I think she is ready to be a champion, but she hasn't really applied herself all that much. And with Chase U no longer in the picture, one could assume that Thea Hale may end up getting lost in the shuffle, and we could end up seeing her get released from WWE at some point, which is possible. But I feel like if Thea Hale were to get that one opportunity, I think she could make the best of it, as could Zarya. I know that she had been teaming with Sol Ruka over the last couple of weeks or so, and I feel like if Zarya were to get that shot at the NXT Women's title, she could potentially become a very dominant force to be reckoned with. But with Giulia, she came to America to be the best, to prove to the world why she is one of the best wrestlers in the game. And 2 weeks ago at 2-3 weeks ago at New Year's Evil, she proved it. She literally proved that she can be a very dominant champion. Could she be as dominant as a woman like Io Sky or Kairi Sane or perhaps Asuka? 100%, absolutely. She could definitely be that dominant, but it depends on how she approaches her challengers, which, knowing her, she'll probably approach them like she would approach any other opponent. Show them, and just simply show them no mercy. But again, as far as Thea Hale goes, yes, she is ready, but I feel like she'll just get lost in the shuffle even after her loss to Giulia. So I don't think her challenging for the title would be the smart move. Jordan Grace, though, I think she still has some unfinished business with Cora Jade and with Roxanne Perez. So I don't think putting her in that fire in the fire of the NXT Women's title would be smart. So it comes down to either Tasha Steelz or Zarya. Who do I believe should be the one? Well, crazy as it sounds, Zarya already has enough on her plate, wanting to obviously teaming with Sol Ruka, and also wanting to become potentially women's a women's tag team champion alongside Sol. Maybe even go after the women's North American title against Fallon Henley. So I think it just comes down to one person, and that one person is Tasha Steelz. I feel like if we saw her in NXT and saw her compete against the best that we have, including Zarya, including Thea, including Ren Sinclair and Danny Palmer and Sol Ruka, she could be a massive threat to the NXT Women's title. Is it possible? Absolutely, but I think tomorrow night. I think tomorrow night, Giulia will be making her return to NXT for the first time since her victory at New Year's Evil. So it's gonna be interesting to see what she has to say, and who will indeed step up. But I think it definitely should be Tasha Steelz, because there's been a lot of rumors that her contract with TNA is supposed to expire within the next couple of months or so, from what I've been hearing. So we could see her get signed to NXT and potentially challenge her. But again, I feel like she definitely should be the one. But with that being said, that will do it for this week's episode of WWE's Biggest Issue. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, excuse me, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue in the future, then make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.